something about sitting here right now and looking at you and understanding the gravity of the situation. A situation that I, in many ways, put myself in.
Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked and afraid. And I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
But after only hours of deliberation, a jury of his peers agreed with prosecutors that he did physically injure his then-girlfriend Grace Jabari in an incident last March.
What happened exactly, do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious.
That 9-1 came hours after an argument broke out with Jabari in the back seat of an SUV when Majors received a text from another woman saying, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." Jabari testified that when she grabbed the phone, Majors tried to get it back, fracturing her finger and giving her a cut behind her ear.
She says inside the car, you hit her in the face, twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
How did those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't cause
I have no
them.
question.
Surveillance video shows Majors getting out of the car, followed by Jabari, whom he then puts back inside the vehicle. What happens next is what the defense remains focused on. Majors runs off, and Jabari chases after him.
If you watch those videos, and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed in the streets of New York City.
Majors' defense team shared these photos, which he says show the injuries he received that night, which were deemed inadmissible in court.
How were you injured?
My injuries were, I had a scratch on my hand, from clawing for the phone, and I had a gash on my, at the time I had a beard. Under my beard I had essentially a fingernail scratch on my cheek from pressure, and that bled overnight.
But prosecutors say Majors was the aggressor. District Attorney Alvin Bragg says the evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse. In court, prosecutors pointed to a previous argument during which he knocked a candle to the floor.
I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground.
You're probably well aware that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be. These great men, Martin, President Obama, and trying to give a reference point to that. One of the things I also say is I need her, in that case, Grace, to make the same sacrifices that I am making.
First of all, free Jonathan Majors. He not going to jail, but still free my nigga. Because fuck is wrong with these fucking people.
Because he did wrong to him.
Of course. The fact that he has to come out and give this fucking goddamn stupid-ass interview, to me, the case is very clear-cut. There's nothing to discuss. This bitch lost her fucking mind, attacked him in the back seat in order to get his phone, corroborated by the driver. Then he tries to escape her. She chases after him. He tries to put her back in the car so he can run away. And she chases after him. That's the incident where they're trying to say he hurt her. Recklessly. I'm trying to figure out. So it was reckless for him to shove her back in the car to try and escape while she's trying to steal his property. So then what should he have done? That's the problem. Is that when women do crazy shit to men, we have no recourse. What should he have done? Nothing? He should have sat there and let her beat him? He should have sat there and let her take his phone? What should he have done?
Just ran away?
But he couldn't run away. You can see that when he put her back in, to get her out of the car, she's still holding on to him. He has to push her off to run.
But even with that, if something, because she was already drunk, so God forbid something happened to her, he would still be responsible. So he's trying to do the responsible thing by making sure she's okay, but also getting away from the situation because he doesn't want to be in the situation. He's trying to get away from her.
Right. She shows up at his apartment the next day drunk. and asleep. And he calls the fucking police because he's like, I don't know if she's okay.
Mm-hmm. She was unconscious.
Right. After that altercation, we see her at the bar with her friends, making clear use of her fingers. I don't see any gashes on her. Yet, when you show up the next morning and you don't even remember what happened, and you show up with these gashes, sounds like you did some dumb shit while you were drunk and hurt yourself. And yet, the jury actually believed that he hurt her finger while trying to escape. That's just fucking bullshit. And even if that is true, as far as I'm concerned, she's in the middle of committing a crime. She's in the middle of attacking him. You're allowed to use reasonable force to get people to fuck off of you. People are not allowed to grab on and hold on to you. That's criminal activity. You don't understand that? It's fucking crazy. This whole thing is fucking ridiculous.
She's basically holding him hostage.
Literally.
Because he wanted to leave, and she
wouldn't
wouldn't let him go. And she was trying to withhold his own property that belongs to him.
Like, again, the problem here is the narrative-driven evidence. There is no actual evidence against Jonathan Majors in this case. It's all a narrative created by the prosecution.
Literally.
It's a narrative created saying that there was what was it? Emotional and psychological abuse, a pattern of psychological abuse. Like,
off of that one phone call.
Do you know how insane that you have to be to consider a man telling his woman, don't get drunk outside and embarrass me, and then in an argument, someone gets mad and knocks something off the table? Those two things together make a pattern of psychological and emotional abuse?
Absolutely not.
Are you fucking crazy?
Absolutely not.
That's not real. You're making it up. That sounds just like the same bullshit that I heard in Tory Lane's trial. Tory was so mad that Meg was doing better than him in sales that he took out a gun and just shot at her. What? Which do you think is more realistic? That or the fact that he was fucking her best friend and they got mad over that and she shot at her?
And guess what? A lot of cases, jealousy happens. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Not that bullshit.
Yeah, like these weird feminist narratives that they're making up and trying to graft onto real life. Like, anyone with a brain can see that this isn't congruent with real life. If you flip their roles and you have a man and a woman, but a black man and a white woman makes it worse. And he sees something on her phone. He grabs violently for her phone in the back seat of the car. She tries to get out. He's grabbing onto her. She pushes off on him, tries to run down the street, and he chases her for blocks. You play that video in court, and then that guy somehow has a hurt finger from her pushing off on him. Do you think there's any chance on God's green earth that the man wouldn't go to jail for that? Make that make sense to me.
And if it was psychological torture for her in this relationship, why is she chasing after him?
I don't get it, right.
That doesn't make sense, because any female who's actually feeling like
Abused?
they're abused psychologically, physically, and everything else like that, they wouldn't be chasing after somebody down the block.
Right. He was so powerful and violent that he hurt you in a physical altercation using no weapon, yet you wanted to chase him down for blocks in heels to continue the altercation, yet he's somehow still the aggressor. That's a railroad job. That's fucking nonsense.
It's devastating to see this.
It's nonsense.
This. Like, it really is devastating, because it's just screwed. It's just screwed against us because they see us as fucking criminals. That's all it is.
Right. And it's like, and you can add on to that the fact that he's a black man in a situation with a white woman that does not help. And then you add on the fact that he's a man in general, and we live in this current man-hating era of society where all things that men do are wrong, and women can never do anything wrong, no matter what happens, no matter what the scenario. So bitch chased him down the fucking block like Slender Man, and still no one can see that she's the aggressor and not the victim. I don't care if you hurt your hand.
And guess what?
You attacked him.
He had injuries, and I don't understand how that is indismissible in the case, because it's like he has evidence of an actual altercation that has precedence in what the situation was.
So that's very funny to me, right? Her pictures of her injuries, right, that we really can't confirm actually came from that car altercation, which is the only thing that's on video. Mm-hmm. That's inadmissible. Though that's admissible, but his own cuts and scrapes and shit inadmissible. You can't convince me that this is some bullshit.
Right. Because, like he said, literally, like you just said, you cannot prove that injury from her finger came from that altercation in the car.
It didn't.
You cannot.
And then she lying on the stand saying that he hit her. He didn't. And I know he didn't. This bitch is lying. And I know he didn't based on the fact that you chased him down the block. You can't fight. Jonathan Majors will crack your back in half if you fought. So if he hit you, there's no way you'd be chasing him down. I don't believe you.
Yep.
You're a fucking liar.
And like I said, and like cases show many, many times before, over and over again, if there is usually a case where a woman is upset or whatever and trying to be aggressive, it's because of jealousy.
Yeah.
And what happened in the thing? He got a text from another woman.
From some woman, and she
saying,
lost her mind.
Yes. And she was drunk.
Right.
So who do you think is more aggressive in this situation right now?
Right. And you
come on.
And you could even add on to the fact that yes, she's drunk and she has a history in this relationship of acting fucking crazy while drunk. That's the whole reason they had that Coretta Scott fucking conversation in the first place. Yet somehow he's the aggressor. He did it.
It's bullshit.
I don't believe you, not at all.
It's bullshit.
And we're gonna address this part real quick before we get out of here. Coretta Scott King's daughter, Martin Luther King and them's daughter, came up to say, my mother did this and did that. She wasn't a prop. First of all, let's just be very clear. We only know who she is because of Martin Luther King.
Right.
Okay? So let's not pretend that she was more important than he was. That's not true. That's the first thing. The second of all, he didn't talk about her like she was a prop.
Right.
All he did was explain that he made an analogy, that she was an example of a wife who supported her very famous and very important husband and did not do anything to embarrass him or to mess it up or to ruin it.
She held dignity.
She was dignified, respectful, right? She was a white bitch, Jackie Kennedy.
He could have used her.
Right.
He could have used her.
Fucking JFK was cheating everywhere. She ain't never do nothing to make him look crazy. The point is that what he wanted was for you to act right in public.
Yeah.
Don't be a drunken mess everywhere and make me look crazy.
Yeah.
And yet, somehow, that got flipped into he's emotionally abusing her. Y'all are ridiculous. Get the fuck out of here. This shit is disgusting, man. Stop it.